What is up, everybody? Welcome to more Bandit Survivor, but on the second channel. And today we are here with a very special conversation. And basically, you may have seen this on the main channel because hopefully we've interspliced it into contents in the main channel talking about how you get into Survivor yourself. But I am with a super cool person. We've got Brian, who may be having a bit of a teaser with his hoodie about what we're going to be chatting about. But Brian, for people that don't really know about you, can you firstly explain how people would know you and what department you work in regards to your project?
Yeah, so like you said, my name is Brian. I am a current student at the University of Michigan, and I work on Survivor Michigan, both the current production and the post-production process.
Perfect. So it's just so cool to like understand the background of it, and obviously we'll have questions involving the background as well. But for someone that obviously is involved in the production, how did Survivor Michigan come to be where it is nowadays from really the start?
Yeah, so if we want to talk about the start of Survivor Michigan, we should probably also address the start of like college survivors in general. There was a guy named Austin Trupp who went to the University of Maryland and saw CBS Survivor and essentially said, like, okay, how can we bring that social experiment into a more like real life setting? I think he was like an RA, so he just brought it in for the first season to his own hall at the University of Maryland, filmed it all, uploaded it to YouTube. And so our founders actually plural, George was the host of the first season and the main founder, as well as Claire, who people might know from Big Brother and Amazing Race. They co-founded Survivor Michigan after seeing Survivor Maryland. And then from there, it's kind of grown, it's evolved, and we are currently filming our 12th season, which is absolutely wild.
I know it is crazy when you think about it, and obviously Survivor Michigan is like basically a top. It's the gold prestige of college survivors, which is why we're chatting right now. As you said, you have just been filming your 12th season, and I believe on YouTube you have uploaded 5 seasons as a recording, and your sixth one is now about to be going out.
Yes, currently have five up. Six one will be coming very, very soon. We've got a bunch sub stuff after that ready to release, hopefully relatively soon after that.
I'm so
But yeah,
excited because
yeah,
I obviously
it's gonna
watch.
be fun.
Yeah, I obviously watch Survivor Michigan, so like as much as we're talking about like all these mechanical things about the show, I'm just like, tell me about season 6. But it's really interesting because you
Yeah,
tell
no
me.
spoilers.
Yeah, no, this channel. So you brought up about how your behind the scenes work and you're involved in like the production. Can you explain to someone that might not have an understanding about all the core mechanics of a college survivor what different departments go into creating the end product that we see on YouTube?
Yeah, I think one of the bigger differences is that the editing side of it, we're not paid to edit this. We just kind of do it out of our own. It's a little passion project in a sense. In terms of like departments of like the production while filming, a lot of it's actually the same. We do challenges, tribal councils, idols and advantages are hidden. So in a sense, we're really taking the concept that CBS originated with and kind of transferring it into real life, which kind of gives the opportunity of okay, you're no longer separated based on tribes. You're not starving on an island. And you also have to deal with your real life on top of all of this, which is something that is not always seen, but you're going to classes, you're, hanging out with your other friends. And there have been multiple instances where you're meeting at a public location on campus and someone else walks up on your conversation. So it's definitely an aspect of the game that I don't think like maybe CBS didn't intend it, but we've taken it and we've kind of evolved it into something more, I
Uh,
guess you could say.
And as you say, it's like an interesting dichotomy because I think it's happened in Survivor Michigan at least once every season where someone goes to a party and they bump into someone they didn't expect that's playing the exact same game as them and they awkwardly have to
Yeah.
chat. So yeah, just it's so interesting just hearing like the breakdown of it. And obviously you talked about Survivor Maryland, there's yourself, Survivor Michigan, there are other college survivors that exist. What in your mind makes a good college survivor and stands out from the competition?
Yeah. So something interesting about my own Survivor. fan. I'm going to take a little tangent here,
Go
but
ahead.
I actually got into Survivor Michigan before CBS Survivor. So I saw at the time there were 2 seasons of Survivor Michigan out. I'd seen 0 of CBS. And really what drew me in was I was able to connect with the people playing College Survivor a lot more than I really could with the people playing CBS Survivor. Because if you think about it, College Survivor it's like an experience. It's closer to everyday life than being on an island starving. Like I'm not here sitting on the couch being on an island or starving. Like I
You don't
feel
have a green
a deeper
screen.
level of connection.
You're not in the Bahamas.
No, not right now. Hopefully, in the future. Maybe I can go to a nice warm sunny beach. But no, yeah, it's a different aspect in the sense that I think a good college survivor can make you connect with the players very intensely and emotionally. A lot of our fans are very passionate about specific players that they like to root
Yes.
for. And I think that comes with investing and casting in interesting people and good just characters that are going to tell great stories on your season.
Yeah, and I think you actually brought up a really good point that I didn't even consider, is that there's quite a lot of people that would play College Survivor, like Survivor Michigan, and that will be their first step into Survivor. Is there like a percentage that you could like maybe think up of the amount of people that would have Survivor Michigan on your casts? This be the first opportunity that they've ever seen Survivor.
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head for sure. I would say a majority are at least familiar with the concept of Survivor going in. We do try to cast every season. There's always 1 or 2 people who haven't really seen the show a lot, don't know them a lot, and we just want to see what they do. But I would say probably 75% of our cast at the least has already like familiarized themselves with CBS Survivor.
That's
But a lot we'll either cast like people who maybe don't know as much, as well as word of mouth. A lot of times gets us a lot of interesting people, and we'll get a contestant who moves on to production and says to their friend like, "Hey, you would really enjoy this. You're interesting and funny and that kind of thing." And so they enter the application pool as well without maybe knowing as much about the CBS show.
And that's really good that like you're casting and like you're being very vocal about the fact that you're casting people on a different range of Survivor knowledge. So like you'll have your super fans, you'll have your people that maybe casually watch the show, people that have never watched the show. I think that's quite a good testament to how the seasons are so dynamic in Survivor Michigan, is that you're coming in with all this different game experience. But an interesting question for me is that there's going to be people here that maybe might be inspired to start their own college survivors as we're talking. So for those people that are watching, what kind of advice would you give them starting off the blocks when they're planning on creating their own college survivor? What's like the foundation, the go-to for it?
The biggest thing when starting a college survivor is to get a team. It is very, very difficult to do it alone. And having a team is going to bring in new ideas. You're not always going to agree, but you're going to come up with a better season in the long run for it. So yeah, get a team to do it with you, as well as just cast. Diversity in casting is important as well, both in like a gender, racial sense, but also in personality, especially. Because you want to cast interesting people, but if you cast the same type of interesting
Yes.
person, it's going to be not as exciting as if you kind of have a broader spectrum of personalities.
I think that goes back to like what we were chatting about earlier about people being invested in the character. If you have like 3 or 4 carbon copies of the same person, there's just going to be less investment overall. So kind of that diversity in personalities as you're talking about, I think is super interesting, if I'm understanding your point correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very important to kind of consider not only the filming aspects, but also all of these people are likely going to be friends after the show. And you're really looking for a way to connect people from different areas of the college that never would have met before.
Mm.
Some of my best friends are from Survivor Michigan. I would never in a million years would have come across them or, spoken to them in any sense without this show. So it's definitely changed my life for the better, I would say, in the friendships and the community that you make through producing a ripoff of a CBS show, essentially, if we're getting down to the root of what
memories
it
of
is.
it.
But
But yeah, it's just so good to like hear like such a positive take on this. And again, like some people they're gonna see this and they're gonna be like, oh, it's such like a goofy little thing. Like you're just like taking Survivor and bringing it to your hometown, but it is great and it is a fantastic like social opportunity, as you say, for people being able to chat to each other. I guess on that point, for someone that has their own college survivor and is watching this right now and they're aware that their college has a survivor and are a little bit skeptical about applying to it, bitter on the fence, what would you say to encourage that person to apply for their college survivor, and what are the positives that can come out of it?
yeah, I would say apply. You never know what's going to happen. To be honest, I didn't think I was going to get on when I applied, but I got on. So you never know what could happen. If just throw your hat into the ring, and if you decide after you play that you don't want to play, then you can say, "Hey, thanks, but I'm good." I also know we do this on Survivor Michigan. I don't know the extent to which other college survivors do this, but if you are not chosen to compete on screen on the season, we still like to offer a chance to be on production and help produce the season, so that you're never really like, yes, we make cuts, and yes, it's a club about voting people out every week, but we try to be as inclusionary as possible. So even though there's like all sorts of drama in the game, everyone is very like nice and understanding and accommodating outside of that game
Yes.
sense. So really, I would encourage anyone who's on the fence to go for it. It is an incredible experience. Yeah, that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, and it's really interesting what you bring up about the team, because like if people don't get on, they can still be part of a team. You might have to correct me, but I'm pretty sure people that have played a season then also go on to production. I think I've seen that people are like heads of productions or they're behind the cameras. Is that correct as well? So you're not just locked to one season?
Yes, that is the majority of the production team is comes from former players who mostly just want to be involved moving forward. Like I said, you're friends with these people even though you're backstabbing and voting them out. It's over such a longer period than CBS. I think it's something that's a little underrated about college survivors. We do it over approximately 100 days. CBS now is chopping it down to 26.
Yeah, it might be 2 weeks by the time that this goes out.
Yeah, yeah. So you spend a lot of time with these people, and you want to stay friends. You want to stay involved, as well as the experience itself of playing is very special, and you want to allow someone else to have that experience too. So that's another reason to stay on and produce it. And the play, we a solid number of players end up coming back to produce our next seasons.
That is perfect. So I feel like we had a really good in-depth conversation there. And firstly, you have to shout out Brian, because the date that we're recording this is Halloween. So it's that awkward time for Brian where you can't really call it afternoon, but you can call it evening at his time. So shout out to him. Brian, if there's anything else you want to talk about, Survivor Michigan, college survivors in general, Survivor in general, this stage is your the stage is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything in particular. Survivor Michigan will just forever have a very special place in my heart. And whether you are a player, producer, or just a fan, I just want to say that I think it's an incredible experience on all sides of that spectrum. And if you're on the fence about getting involved with College Survivor, maybe check one out online. Doesn't have to be us, but just look into what your college has as well. It's an incredible experience, and it's a lot of fun.
So if you're from Michigan, you now know what to do. You need to start applying, get on to
Yes.
season 13. But thank you so much, Brian, for being here, and have a good day, everyone.